What is going on, y'all? One Piece chapter 1092 has finally come out. It's been a while. We got a break last time, but this time, moving forward, till 1093, there is no break. This chapter 1092 is entitled The Tyrant Kuma's Rampage on the Marijoa, the Holy Land. Starts off something kind of surprising, Kuma finally makes it to the top of the red line. He's at Marijoa. He's trying to get it. He's getting attacked by the Royal Guard. And they can't do nothing to him, alright? They got him with chains. Man came like Django Unchained. Broke out of that shit. Ursa shock. Which was like, the first time we hear him talk, right? It's the only thing he said so far. Ursa shock. He does that. He breaks free. And then now we're seeing Akainu of all people. Who I guess Akainu was, he was seen talking to the Gorsei before. So now Akainu is here. Talking to Kuma, basically like, yo, Kuma, you're just a puppet. I can't have a puppet running free. No one knows what you're up to, right? We all are under the impression that Akuma is attacking the Holy Land, but it seems like Kuma had different plans, right? Akuma is going to Egghead. That's the way it seems right now. Where else would he go? His daughter's there. And I had an idea before that something happened with Bonnie in the earlier chapters, and Kuma was made aware of that. Maybe a connection with the Kuma Seraphim, I'm not sure, but Kuma was on the move, right? Especially after we learned that the ancient giant that's in Egghead basement, right? That was climbing the red line 200 years ago, right? And he went and he attacked. So I thought those things would be connected. Maybe Kuma does have some type of connection with the ancient giant, like there's some of that technology put inside of him. But now Kuma is headed to Egghead, right? Kuma and Akainu have this fight, and this fight is like crazy. Because Akainu attacks his head. You see definitely a callback to Marineford when he attacked Whitebeard and he took off part of his head. And then he says, Kuma, you still have blood in you, right? So we do know that now there's a living part of Kuma still in there. And mixed in with what we know about the robots that are created by Vegapunk, we know that they have a little bit of humanity that you can't take away from them, right? Akainu takes off part of Kuma's head, takes off his leg, but Akuma is able to use the Devil Fruit and escape. So where his plans were always just to get over the red line. I was always thinking, like, why doesn't he just send his, like, he could have went anywhere onto the red line, but I guess that the base was the only place where he could have landed and then, start climbing the red line so he can use his Devil Fruit again to get over it. But I always thought, like, he sent Nami into the sky to Weatheria. Why doesn't he just send himself over it or to a point on the red line that's not at Marijoa so he didn't have to fight? But that's what happened. It's all for the story plot, realistically. Akainu mentions that Kuma is just a puppet, right? And that makes me think about, Kizaru talking about him being a cog in the wheels. And that makes me think about how maybe Aokiji made the right move. Aokiji didn't want to just be a cog, didn't want to follow orders. He wanted to do his own thing. Now, unfortunately, he's with Blackbeard. And it seems like he's also found himself in a cog there doing things that he doesn't want to do, like attack Garp, right? So the world is kind of forcing them to pick sides, but whatever side they pick is still causing them to make decisions that they don't want to make. Kizaru doesn't want to have to kill Vegapunk, but he is an admiral and he has to do his job. He has to take out Senamaru, has to take out Vegapunk. He didn't want to have to attack Bonnie, but he does attack Bonnie in the end, All these things make you think about what the admirals have to be going through mentally to get the job done, and it doesn't seem like it's so easy for them. In this chapter, we see Kizaru and Luffy, their fight is continuing. Luffy's in Gear 4th now. And, it didn't seem like Luffy was pressing Kizaru that hard. Kizaru seems like, he was impressed by Luffy's ability, but Luffy was definitely holding back for some reason. Maybe Luffy wanted to know more about Kizaru. Maybe Luffy had a feeling that Kizaru wasn't such a bad guy. But Luffy definitely was holding back in their fight. Kizaru flies away and hits him with the acceleration of power kick. That thing was like a crazy feat. I thought that was like crazy, the way that he kicked Luffy through the Vega Force 1 through the barrier. And when Kizaru goes to see Bonnie, it seems like Kizaru had some type of past relationship with Bonnie, and Bonnie mentions that Vegapunk was the person who I was angry at before, but my target has turned to someone else. So potentially, who could her target have been? In my mind, it'd have to be the Celestial Dragons. They're the ones who kept Kuma a slave. So it could be possible that Bonnie is on the ship a lot longer than we expected her to be. She could be going to Elbaf with us. I don't know. But at this point, she gets kicked. What looks like she gets kicked into the barrier. I wouldn't be surprised, since the Kuma situation happened yesterday, if Kuma maybe flies through the barrier and captures her, because considering how much damage it did to Luffy, that thing will mess Bonnie up. I don't know how Bonnie could be okay after getting hit with the 100% barrier from the Labo phase. That would really do a lot of damage. So hopefully Bonnie's okay. Hopefully they didn't get rid of Bonnie, so that when Kuma arrives, like, how Bonnie and Kuma gonna have that connection? I definitely want to see them two characters interact, and I want to see if Kuma is gonna die with all these death flags put up for him. He had no leg, half a head. I want him to see Bonnie one more time, you know, and I feel like that's something we have to see. It's like one of the most heartbreaking things that we're getting from this arc, and I feel for Bonnie as somebody who's just like, you know, she's doing everything in her power by herself, realistically, to go out and, you know, protect her father's name, make sure that people aren't saying bad things about him. This is the guy that protected her. She has a lot of feelings for him, and at least say goodbye, at least tell him, like, it'd be crazy if his last words were like, I love you, or something like that, you know, because Bonnie loves her father so much. That's the one thing that no one can take away from this arc. She loves her father so much. So please don't rob us of one last time of seeing each other. I would love to see her surrounded by Marines and Kuma show up to protect her in some way. But I also really like Bonnie as a character, so I don't want her to be, you know, in past the Labo phase while the Straw Hats are leaving and them leave without her. I want her to go with them. I like her as a team. So I'm really liking this idea of Kuma blasting through the Labo phase, taking that damage, but catching Bonnie and protecting her so that she doesn't fall in and get injured, you know, him being that person who could do that. I don't understand how she'd be able to survive, at least be, like, you know, moving after taking a hit like that from the Labo phase, considering how much damage it does to Luffy at the end of this chapter. So now that Luffy was knocked away from Kizaru, Frankie and Lilith are left at the Vega Force 1, and they're going to try to figure out how to get it over to the, you know, to Ghost the Plan to, like, fly off the island. Kizaru approaches the team, which is like Usopp and Jinbei, Nami, and Vegapunk, Chopper, Robin. Though all those people are, you know, in the middle where they're trying to unlock the code. Now that they have the ability to take the barrier down, they want to leave, but Kizaru shows up and Kizaru tells them, oh, your plan has failed. Luffy shows up right at the end of this chapter, grabs Kizaru. I don't know if he's going to be coating his hand with hockey, so Kizaru can't light his way out of this, but Luffy basically has Kizaru on the ropes now, it seems, and then the chapter ends with the robot being powered up. Now, I don't know exactly what could have powered it up, because this isn't even the first time Luffy went Gear 5 in this arc, so the robot didn't respond to Luffy previously, but now maybe it's because Luffy's a giant, maybe because Luffy is hurt. I'm not sure exactly what it could have been. I heard speculation that it could be based on Luffy saying that he died, right? So it's just like kind of that near-death experience for Luffy is gave that, you know, restarting the heartbeat, that type of deal to Luffy. Now, like, you know, when the drums of liberation going, like, now the heartbeat is going harder, so the robot gets up, and I wonder how it's going to react, because the last time it reacted, it went to Mary Joa. So what's it going to do now? Is it going to go fly to Mary Joa, or is it going to be under someone's control? Is it going to be able to talk to Luffy? Is Luffy going to be able to interact with this robot, maybe give it orders? Or is that something maybe another character can do, potentially? There are a lot of things that we haven't talked about, or that happened in previous chapters that haven't gone anywhere in this chapter. So we didn't see anything from Zoro and Lucci. We haven't seen anything from Blackbeard yet. We haven't seen Saint J. So all those characters still need to react moving forward, and I'm not sure exactly how it will go. Lucci and Zoro seems to be an interesting fight. I'm still under the idea that I hope that we get to see Sanji and Zoro do a team up and fight Lucci. I think that would be the best way it goes. I can't imagine that Sanji would just let Lucci attack a woman and Sanji not do anything about it. Like, Sanji takes a lot of things personally, and he'd be like, nah, not in front of my eyes. No one's gonna attack no woman. So I expect Sanji to make a move in this chapter. And to be honest, we didn't see anything from Stussy. So, like, we know that she got injured last chapter. Is Chopper working on her? Is he bandaging her up? Is she going to be okay? I'm very concerned about her. I think she's a really cool character, and I think she has a lot left to offer, especially as an ex-government official. Her interactions with Robin would be interesting, because they're both very knowledgeable about a lot of stuff, right? So them going back and forth, having communication would be interesting, but at the same time, I can see why Oda wouldn't want to do that, because both those characters have so much knowledge, and then they kind of overlap with each other. We haven't seen the gloves make a return yet, those light gloves that Atlas had, so I wonder if Luffy will use that. I don't think Luffy would have to, because it seems like Luffy could just use Haki, but for some reason Luffy's not really using Haki in this fight, so definitely leaves a lot left to, you know, imagine. But Luffy's in Gear 5 now. I wonder how long he's gonna last, or how hard this fight's to Ghost Kizaru, and how the Seraphim are gonna make a return into this fight, in this arc, you know, because I can't imagine the Seraphim stay in bubbles for the remainder of the arc. So yeah, those are the things left in this chapter. Hopefully in the next chapter we get to see some Zoro and Lucci action. Maybe we can go back to the Cross Guild and see what's going on with them. I would love to get like a pickup of where it is that they're going and their newfound resurgence. I'd like to see something from like Mr. One, because right now I still think Cross Guild isn't doing so well. I'd love to see something going back to Elbaf, you know, that with the Iron Giant getting up, it's just putting so much importance on the Giants and that giant straw hat that we saw in the past. So I'd love to see something from that, and the Blackbeard Pirates. That's like the biggest thing right now. I want to know what their role is going to be in this arc, if they're going to be like kind of a cleanup crew, if their intention was always to come after the Straw Hats. So just very curious as to what's happening. Maybe they're chasing them, and maybe they don't have an interaction. Who knows? So yeah, this chapter has a lot of good things going for it. Now we just got to wait and see. Thank you so much for watching this video. Please remember to like, subscribe to the video, and let me know what your thoughts about on the chapter that we just had. No break next week, so we're going to be going hard again and again and again, and this chapter was just amazing. I definitely love this chapter. It keeps me hyped, keeps me interested, and just make sure to subscribe to the channel for more in One Piece. Thank you so much. Take care.